everyone, this is Athena from Courage Coaching. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk about something that's very close to my heart today, and that is the difficulty of leaving a relationship. Now, many of you will have probably had one or two relationships in your life that were very, very difficult for you to end. And this could have been for many different reasons. It could have been that this partner met many of your emotional needs, had a great sense of humour, but sadly you both realised that you didn't want the same things anymore. So you essentially grew apart and had to go your separate ways. But the love you felt for each other was still extremely strong, so it was very heartbreaking to walk away from this individual because this person was your best friend as well as your lover and might have been everything to you, but walking away was the right thing to do. Or maybe you had to leave a relationship because one of you wasn't being honest, one of you was constantly lying, one of you was very toxic in the relationship. And when there is toxicity in a relationship, this can be even harder to walk away from. And if the relationship becomes severely dysfunctional, there may also be what is known as a trauma bond. So if you were in a relationship, for instance, with somebody who had narcissistic traits, then you will be suffering from what is known as CPTSD when you leave this relationship. And these sorts of relationships are even harder to leave because of the level of toxicity and the trauma bonding that you have. Now, how do you end a relationship when you really don't want to, when you are too scared to do so, but you know that it is the right thing because it is what you need in order to authentically live life in a way that you deserve and to have your needs met? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the different reasons why somebody can be really afraid to leave a relationship. What are the things that make us afraid? So let's dive in a little bit deeper. Now, the first and most important thing that I think is why people stay in relationships longer than they have to be is because they have a very big fear of being alone for the rest of their lives. We have been socialized into believing that it is really scary to die alone. And as much as a relationship can give us so many important things and we can feel less alone in this world because we know we have someone that always has our back, it's not healthy if we stay in a relationship where our needs aren't being met and where somebody isn't understanding us or maybe respecting us in the way that we deserve. Or it might just be that this relationship is toxic or that we have different needs and we are going in different directions. So it is hard to leave a relationship when we are scared of being alone. And for those individuals who have an anxious attachment, leaving a relationship is even harder because we never knew what it was like to be attached to someone in a stable way. We have never had a secure attachment, probably because of our parents. So when we are in a relationship, we are already taking a huge risk because we are already anxious about so many things. And our partner is essentially the person that makes us feel secure. They are our security blanket. So when that is ripped away, it is unbearably hard to deal with the anxiety that remains and with the depressive thoughts that remain. So being scared of being alone and having to deal with the anxiety that comes with the end of a relationship is a very important reason why people don't want to leave any sort of relationship. And also we may not have trust in ourselves that we will make the right decision. If we have trouble making decisions or we don't trust our own inner voice, then making a decision as big as leaving a relationship will be absolutely terrifying and will feel almost impossible for us. What makes leaving a relationship even harder is if we don't actually have a support network to help us through this difficult time. So if you were somebody who came from a very dysfunctional family background and you don't have a family to lean on, and it also might be that you haven't managed to make very close friends, so you don't actually have any close friends you can lean on, then leaving a relationship is going to feel even more terrifying. And the only person that might be able to get you through such a awful experience is maybe a counselor or a therapist. That person might be the only person you have that will support you through this transition. What if your anxiety is so bad that you can't work and yet you can't afford a therapist? That is another thought that also stops a lot of people from ending a relationship. So my advice to you is make sure that you are financially independent in your marriage or in your relationship, because this will already help you feel a lot stronger, and it will enable you to leave the relationship because you know that you can stand on your own 2 feet. And even if you don't have friends or family to rely on, you can at the very least afford a therapist or somebody to help you through this transition so you don't feel completely alone. Another really important reason that makes it very hard to leave a relationship is the fact that we may be a people pleaser by nature and that we are used to putting the other person's needs above our own. So if we dare to think about leaving a partner, we will be filled with immense feelings of guilt and shame, and that we are letting down our partner. Or we may think that our partner isn't actually capable of dealing with their own emotions when we tell them that the relationship has come to an end. Maybe our partner is so reliant on us, nurturing them and being there for them and helping them regulate their emotions because we may have enabled this, that we don't think that they are able to move on and be responsible for their own emotions. Now, this is something we also see in codependency, right? People that are codependent believe that the other person isn't able to manage their own emotions, so we are the ones responsible for these emotions. And in this case, we don't have healthy boundaries. We take on way too much responsibility for our partner's emotions, and the guilt stops us from leaving. If indeed our partner isn't able to emotionally regulate, and when we try to end things, they are a complete mess and they aren't coping, and they want us to comfort them although we are actually hurting them, then this is a very difficult situation to be in. And if you are also an empath or a highly sensitive person, which usually goes hand in hand with being either codependent or a people pleaser or both, this will make it even harder to leave a relationship. But you have to remember that as hard as it is, you have to prioritize your own well-being, your own needs, your own wants, even if you break your partner's heart, even if you make the decision to leave your relationship or leave your marriage. And if you need support to do this, then you just find somebody that can support you, like a therapist or a coach or anybody at all that is willing to support you through this transitional period of your life. Another reason that you might not want to leave a relationship is that you think about yourself in a very negative way, and you think about your life and your future in a very negative way, and you don't think that you will actually manage on your own. You are so used to relying on your partner for so many things that you are absolutely terrified at the prospect of having to do certain things on your own. You know, you might be scared of so many different things that nobody will be there to help you fix your computer or help you around the house or do the things that you have always relied on somebody else to do. But you know, the thing is, even if you don't have a partner, you could always move in with a friend, or you could ask a friend to come and stay with you a couple of nights here and there. You know, you can always ask a family member to help you out, or you could have a flatmate. You could arrange for somebody to move into the spare room in the house, at least at the beginning of the transitional period of you getting over your ex. So even if you're scared, there are solutions. There are things that you can do to make it easier for yourself. You just have to try and look for the solutions rather than at the negative things and the things that scare you, because there will always be difficult things and scary things. You know, emotions can be scary sometimes. Anxiety can be scary. You know, we don't like feeling horrible. We don't like grieving. We don't like feeling, upset or feeling like it's the end of the world. But those are unfortunately all emotions that are part of life, and they're part of the end of a relationship. So we'll grieve, we'll take a couple of months to grieve. We'll have moments where we feel like shit, but then eventually we will come out the other side of that and we will feel stronger and we will feel better. And it might even be that we feel so much stronger and so much better that we don't want another partner, that we're quite happy on our own, that we are enjoying our own company and we are making new friends and we are taking on new hobbies and doing things that actually fulfill us and prepare us for the possibility of a new relationship in the future. But remember, leaving a relationship doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean that it's the end of your life. It means that this is the start of a new life, a different life, and one that may eventually actually be better. And then a few years down the line, you will look back at the time where you were really grieving and you were really struggling, and you will be grateful for the decision that you made. You will be grateful that you've taken that brave step to end a relationship, because actually you are much better, much happier, and you are loving life. So sometimes doing something really hard and leaving a part of us behind is what we actually need to help us grow and to help us be a better person, not just for ourselves, but for a possible new partner. Just remember that when you choose to leave a relationship, especially a toxic one, this is actually an act of self-love. You are choosing to love yourself and put your needs first, which is something that you should have always done. Our partner's needs should never come before our own happiness and our own needs. We always have to look after ourselves first, and then we can love and care for our partner. If we're not doing well, if we're struggling, if we're not happy, if we're depressed, we are not going to be able to give to our partner anyway. So the happier we are, the more we look after ourselves, the better this is for any future relationship. Another important thing to remember is that when you walk away for a relationship that isn't serving you anymore, you need to hold space for your feelings, especially your feelings of grief, your feelings of anxiety. You need to hold space for these feelings compassionately and kindly. Grief is hard, and as a lot of you know, this happens in stages, and we need to be gentle with ourselves throughout such a difficult time. Sometimes it means that you just have to take it back to the absolute basics. So eat, sleep, exercise, go to work, come home. Sometimes taking it back to basics is the only way we can cope and the only way that we can deal with our feelings of grief or stress when we are in this transitional period of our life. Lastly, another very important thing to remember is that you need to be aware of how you talk to yourself. What is your tone of voice? How do you talk to yourself? Are you caring? Are you compassionate? Your inner voice is so important. If you're constantly beating yourself up over things, then that is not going to help you get through your grief, right? The more intense your self-criticism is, the harder it's going to be to get over the situation that is making you feel so much pain. You need to remember that you have to be kind to yourself. Maybe just setting an intention of being kind to yourself. So you could say something like, I am going to be kind to myself while I navigate the loss of this relationship, and I will make sure I do this daily. And in the moments that I am especially struggling, I'm going to be even more kind to myself, just like a parent would look after and care for their child, just like you would do for your best friend who is struggling. Compassion is key, and self-compassion is very important when you are navigating a loss. So if you are somebody who's navigating the end of a relationship, or is maybe considering the end of a relationship or even a marriage, I know it's hard, I know it hurts, I know it's scary. I've had my fair share of losses, and I know how horrible it feels, to hurt the other person, but also you get hurt in the process of this as well. So don't forget yourself in this. But you must prioritize your needs. You must do what is right for you. And when you do this, you will feel so much better for it in the future. If you would like to share your experience of loss or ending a relationship or a marriage, then please feel free to do so in the comments below the video. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for listening to this video and for watching, of course. And if you have any questions at all, then please feel free to email me at courageisallyounneed@gmail.com. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.